When you dance the dance of another, you make yourself in the image of its creator. You empty yourself so that her work can live within you. Do you understand?
Yeah.
You're in a company now. You have to find your right place. You have to decide. What is it you want to be for this company? Is it the head? The spine? The sex? The heart?
The hands. I want to be this company's hands.
And that's a clip from Suspiria. I'm delighted to say that its star, Dakota Johnson, is with us. How are you, Dakota? Very nice to see you.
I'm good. How are you doing?
It's going well. What do you make of telling this story so far? Is it different from promoting your other films? Are you enjoying the process?
I am. It's very interesting to promote this film because typically the person asking the question had just seen the film and their
Freaked
demeanor
out?
is a little shook up. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's the intention, isn't it? I mean, that's the whole. If you walk out of Suspiria going, well, I don't know, that would be very, very strange because this is a full-on experience.
Yeah. I would rather people have feelings leaving a movie theater than have no feelings.
Yeah. Tell us what the story is. They may well be familiar, of course, because this is a remake or a cover version, as Luca, your director, likes to say. Just explain the story.
Well, it's a cover version of Dario Argento's original film Suspiria that was made in 1977, and it takes place in 1977. And it's about a young woman who travels from very intense Mennonite family in Ohio to 70s feminist Berlin and is on a mission to be accepted to the most prestigious dance academy. And she wants to work with Madame Blanc, who's played by Tilda Swinton. And she discovers that it's run by witches.
Which you can imagine was quite a shock to her.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Susie Bannion. This is your character. What's the significance of the Mennonite background, which we see in flashbacks? But just explain the significance of that.
It's such a drastic change from where she ends up. Although, if you look at a Mennonite family, it's a lot of women nurturing something, taking care of each other, but taking care of this lifestyle, this sort of being in itself. And then, even though it's so drastically different from the Dance Academy and from the Marcos Academy, there's a bizarre parallel in this group of women nurturing this thing, this something, but it's just in a very different way.
Yes. So 1977 is, as you said, it's where the original was set. You're still setting it in 1977. Is there a significance to the... Because in the background, there's a lot of violence. There's Bader Meinhof going on. There are explosions. There's a plane hijack. Is there a significance to that? I mean, because the story that you've outlined could have been set almost anywhere and in any time.
Yeah, I think, well, that's the time in which the film is set that's a better question for Luca. I know that it was very important to him to have the energy of the time be surrounding what was happening within the walls of the building. And a lot of what this movie is about is thresholds. And what's going on outside is almost going on inside, but the two don't know about. It's almost as though they can't compete, but they coexist. But he would be so much better at answering that question.
Were you familiar with the original version of Suspiria? Were you original with Dario Argento's film before you were asked to do this?
No, I was not.
How did Luca, the director, how did he hook you into this movie? How did he sell it to you?
He didn't have to sell it to me at all. We were on set in Pantelleria. We were filming A Bigger Splash. And it was late at night, and he actually said today that it was late at night. I thought it was the morning, but...
Who's counting?
Yeah, who knows, really. And he asked me if I had seen Suspiria, and I said no. And he said that he wanted to make Suspiria with me and Tilda. And I said, okay. And then I went and watched the movie. But I watched it back when we were back in the States because I couldn't get my hands on it. Pantelleria is a very difficult island. It doesn't have very good Wi-Fi.
Okay. So then when you got back home and you got some Wi-Fi and you watched it, what did you think? What was your reaction when you saw it for the first time, knowing that this is what you've been asked to do?
Well, I thought it was amazing. Growing up and watching films, I loved movies about dance, and I loved movies about witches.
Perfect. It's the perfect
I
film.
know.
Then.
And it was kind of right up my straza. But I was more curious to what he was going to do with it, because I had just made A Bigger Splash with him, which is a very loosely based on the sort of formation of swimming pool, or la piscine, and that I knew was not at all similar to the original, and it's a very different story that's told. So I was just in, like so in. And then we just kept talking about it for the next 2.5 years, I guess that took.
And because the film takes you and takes the viewer into some very dark places, presumably that relationship with the director is so important because you have to trust him 100%. Mm-hmm. So if a new director had come to you and said, I want to do this movie, maybe you'd have thought longer. Maybe it had to come from someone like Luca, for whom this has been a passion project. He's always wanted to do it. Maybe it needed to be that kind of relationship that you'd have with the director.
Yeah, I think the relationship that Luca and I have is so special and lucky and unique because we both feel totally safe and totally capable of anything. And we always say that we create a very safe environment to do very extreme things. And we sort of challenge each other. And the same with him and Tilda, and the same with Tilda and I. We just roll, and it's great. And it takes now it takes no time to find our footing together. And there's also, because he has been so invested in making this film for so long with Tilda, the fact that he wanted to make it with me, I felt, even in the times when I didn't know that I was capable of pulling this off, that he knew that I was. So having that sort of trust in each other was really integral, I think, to making the film.
Can I ask you about the dancing that you have to do? You mentioned that you've always loved films with witches and with dancing, so Suspiria is perfect for you. But the dancing that you have to do is extraordinarily intense. Can you just explain a little bit, and particularly maybe with reference to the Volk dance, which is so significant towards the centerpiece of the film, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Volk is the main dance of the film. It's 6 minutes of choreography, which we did all 6 minutes every take, and it was so intense. So the dancing in the film is inspired by the works of Mary Wigman and Pina Bausch and Martha Graham. So when I was training, I watched a lot of Mary Wigman's work. And when I was a little girl, I danced. I did ballet and dancing that's cute and pretty, and when things may be really painful, but they look really beautiful. And this style of dance is German expressionist dance, and it's with gravity. It's not against gravity. It's angular and sharp and not beautiful particularly, but it's feminine and intense, and you feel this sort of this dis-ease of women during this time. And so to train for that, I did about a little over a year of training, which was slow in kind of increments. And I'd do 3 months with a trainer in New York to kind of work on the way my body would look like an actual dancer, but not a dancer that's formally trained for years and years. So someone who is active, but not a professional like Susie. And then I had to stop doing that so I could film a movie, and then a choreographer came to work with me while I was filming another movie, so I would do that after work. And then 2 months prior to actually starting filming on Suspiria, we went to Varese and for 2 weeks did intensive days, like 8 hours a day with all the dancers in the film. And these women are professional dancers, and they tour around the world, and they are extraordinary people. I learned so much from them, and they were so supportive, and they trained me every day, and they taught me, they worked with me, they helped my body, they helped me when I was exhausted and so discouraged. But it was amazing. And throughout filming, Volk was the main part of the training that we did before filming, and then once we got that out of the way, it was mostly working with Damien Jallet, the choreographer, on the rest of Susie's dancing in the film.
And what is it that the witches who run this dance school, just going back to the story, what is it they see in your character, Susie, that is so incredible? Why do they react so strongly to you? What is it they see in you?
I think they see the energy coming from her soul. I think they see a power and an investment in this magnetic pull that she feels. I think they just see that they see her power. They might even see that she might be more powerful than them, but they might refuse to believe that at first.
These are stats from an interview Tilda Swinton gave, but I think she said the movie has 38 women and 3 men, which must be a unique experience, I would think, for any actor to be, in a movie where that's the balance.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
In what way?
Women are extraordinary creatures, and I loved being surrounded by women of all different ages from all different corners of the world working together on a project that is pretty wild, and to have everyone be sort of focused on this energy and this vibe and this story that's very important to me, and it was very important to all of us. And it kind of created this energy on set, and I think injected it into the sort of pulse of the film as well, this graceful chaos, this sort of almost tangible, buzzing energy between women. And, I went to an all-girls Catholic boarding school for 1 year. That place was wild. So
Wilder than Suspiria? Sure, that's not possible.
Well,
That'll be some school you went to.
yeah, there weren't those kinds of rituals going on, but different.
I can imagine. What do we see you in next, Dakota?
Oh, I don't have anything. I mean, I have a couple movies coming out, but I'm not sure when.
Because there is talk of a follow-up to Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
And there is talk that you might be involved in that.
Yes.
So that's happening?
That's happening.
Okay.
Not sure when, but absolutely.
Dakota Johnson, thank you for your time.
Thank you.